Good morning, Justin. Are we licking our wounds this morning?
Well, first of all, I'm going to text the Lone Speak group text and say we are on the air.
Yes.
Licking our wounds. So I'm glad we're getting right to it. I have a couple thoughts. For starters, you didn't share too much info with me, but my understanding is that you received some messages yesterday which were negative regarding our picks.
They were tongue in cheek negative. They weren't like, yeah, I'm gonna beat your door down.
Didn't one specific fan of the show, who I won't name at this point because I don't want to badmouth anyone inappropriately, didn't someone we know by a nickname get a little bit testy for perhaps the second time, or am I imagining that?
Slightly, about the same.
So, okay, here's the thing. There have been several people who have reached out to me privately in recent weeks.
Yes.
Some of whom even offered to like Venmo me money, and which I of course refused. But I would say the feedback that I've received about our selections and our analysis has been extremely positive, because we have had you and I have had a very good several months.
I've made about $12,000 in the last week, I think.
Yeah. And I'm less than that. I hate to say I haven't made that much because we talked about the alcohol consumption and other factors, but and Dylan is correct. But this is the only thing I want to say is that in the first play we had at Saratoga, there was a 2-horse entry. I said these horses can run 1-2. And if it weren't for that 23-1 bomb, they would have run 1-2 because they were second, third, and that entry paid more to show than to place.
480. Yeah.
To show, right?
Yeah, 480 to show.
Yeah. Not that I would ever condone a show wager, but hey,
right.
I think our analysis there was pretty solid. And then in the there was the turf sprint at Saratoga, which we handicapped in real time on the air. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel strong. Turf sprints aren't really my thing. Rich Nilsson, our buddy, who we may have on the show more frequently if we can, nailed that winner, 8-1 winner. I think it was 8-1. The horse that one of the 2 horses we liked at Colonial, and the turf was yielding there, and that may have to become part of my handicapping moving forward. That horse was as loose can be on an easy lead, relaxed as can be, and then turned for home and just stopped. And that you almost never see that happen. I mean, so I got to think that horse just hated the surface, because that was an inexplicably poor effort. And then the other horse at Colonial, which was the 3-horse, didn't really have any trouble, didn't get a perfect trip, but also did no running. The favorites ran 1-2 in there, and we like those favorites to go over and above our long shot. Yeah. And then the horse at Del Mar in the nightcap,
I thought it was
perfect trip.
Yeah.
And
I was getting excited for a little while.
The trip was better than we could have hoped for, and they turned for home, and the horse had nothing. So look, I mean, when you're wrong, you're wrong, and we can take the abuse when we miss, but I would say, keep it in context. We've been on fire the last.
Yeah, we've been killing it, man.
Now, today's picks, there's 4 races I want to talk about. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be making any huge wagers today. These are what I would call light opinion action wagers because I'm interested in some horses that are prices. And if we can connect with one of them, maybe get an exact, maybe if one of them can run second in an exacta, and we can make it a profitable day. So I'm going to be treading lightly today. I don't know about your opinions. I found some interesting things, and we'll see where it goes, I guess.
Well, we have a new fan in Terry who appreciates our analysis on the races.
Fantastic. We like it.
Like and subscribe, Terry, and tell your friends about it.
Yeah, we like having people join the conversation and contribute. And I've gotten some private messages recently where people saying, "Hey, what do you think of this horse?" Or "I'm surprised you don't like this horse." And I'll write back and say, "Well, I actually do, but I want to see scratches." Like today, Colonial's got some interesting races, but they have a late start, and I want to see scratches. I want to see the turf condition. I'm not going to play Colonial again without really considering scratches or the turf condition, because I got to think that may have had an impact on yesterday's results. And then of course Del Mar scratches aren't out yet, so that's kind of the downside of doing this in the morning, although we do have a later start time today. So anyway, I've talked long enough. I'll hand it over to you and see if you've got any thoughts you want to add.
No, no, I don't have much to add. I mean, some of the people, one was a friend of a friend that said, "Yeah, you guys didn't hit anything," and but it was kind of laughing about it. And I said, "Yeah, you just got to keep watching. We're gonna, pick some winners for you." This guy doesn't even know how to put a trifecta bet together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and honestly, today could be one of those days where we don't hit again either. I mean,
then Davey at the track. He doesn't even, he gets pissed when they don't run third, as you know.
Yes.
And he was already having a bad day. I had a bad day at Hawthorne in general betting races at Hawthorne, and it was pretty bad. I shared a video of my nephew. He's 5 years old. He picked the 26-1 shot in the nightcap and was screaming for it. I shared it on Twitter. It's pretty cool.
Did he cash a big ticket?
He had $4 to win in place on that horse. Made a lot of money, and I'm sure he'll be betting again on Sunday when we go down there. But it was, Davey was throwing a couple F-bombs out there. Man, I needed fucking third. But that's it. It is what it is. Come back the next day, and we'll pick a couple winners for you. I told him, you got to bet some of these tries. I said, if you would have invested $30 like I did the other day, you would have made $3,800.
Yeah, and I'm kicking myself for some of the tries and exactas I didn't play over the last week. You know about that all too well. I'm going to stay away from the alcohol this weekend. I'm still learning how to juggle family time and devotion.
All that stuff.
I mean, it can be tough.
It's funny. I was tired. I came home from the track. It's an hour drive from Hawthorne, so it gets tiring. A long day. Plus, I stuffed myself at Portillo's. It's a restaurant that has beef sandwiches and stuff like that. Anyway, right. I got home. I start handicapping Ellis. I'm all excited about Ellis on Friday. Well, guess what? You sent me a text. There is no racing today. I was looking at Saturday's card.
Well, you got a head start on Saturday at Ellis.
Yeah, I got a head start on Saturday.
By the way, you may see over my left shoulder my daughter's artwork. I posted that on Twitter last night.
Okay, I saw the artwork. I thought you ordered this. I didn't know your daughter did this. I must have missed it.
Yeah, no, she painted it. And you can tell, if you notice, that the number 1 and the number 3, they look like they were, she used stencils for those numbers. That's because she did. And I kind of put a stop to that. I said, no, babe, what I want you to do, I want this to be artwork. I want it to look like a kid did it. And I'm not saying make it look bad, but I want it to look legit, not mass produced. So for the rest of the numbers, you can see they all got their own little, imperfections in them. That's exactly what I wanted.
That's cool, man. Look at now. I will say one thing here. The 4 looks great if she didn't use a stencil on that one.
If you were close to it, you'd see it doesn't. She kind of just did it. She had to eyeball all the numbers.
Okay.
You can see the 6 and the 9, which are sort of the same form.
They look like G's. One's a upside down G, and the other one looks like a G. I like that though. It gives it
Exactly.
authenticity.
So here's a big announcement for Coffee with Dew. My daughter has decided to go in business and make these for horse racing fans who would like them. They'll all be sort of the same style. We're still working out the pricing. It's surprising how much this set actually costs to make. And I got to do some research and figure out, like those 11 by 14 canvases, they're not cheap.
Those are 11 by 14 each?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And little tubes of paint are also not cheap, but we're thinking if she buys the stuff in bulk, maybe we could crank them out. So we're thinking of a price for the set of 10. We're thinking $150.
Okay.
So if anybody
does she autograph it? Is she going to autograph them too?
I mean, I think she would love to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
She'll be 13 years old in September. She's starting to care about money a little bit more. And so message me on Twitter, send me a private message. If you'd be interested in paying $150 for a set of 10, and we get enough people that are interested, we might have you Venmo the money and she'll crank out a set for you.
I wonder if I got room. I could probably maneuver something here.
Well, you would get a set free, of course, but
no, I would.
No.
No, I can't do that.
Of course.
I don't know if you can see up there. There's a little picture of a horse that my niece and my nephew did. Let me show you this.
I can see it. All right.
So they drew this, and I said, "Did you guys trace that?" And they said no, but so my nephew Matthew did that. Do I believe him?
My first reaction was that it was traced, but I mean,
yeah. So yeah, he's a little ball buster. That's my brother Danny's son.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're interested in having those for your house, send me a message, and if we get enough people interested, I'll have her crank out a few sets. And then we also have a big weekend of racing coming up.
Oh yeah.
I haven't really looked that much at this weekend's cards yet.
Well, we dove into the Jim Dandy a little bit that one day.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I already looked at Ellis Saturday. And then Sunday, I'll be doing a Sunday at Hawthorne with Emily and Jim Miller.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 horses, family horses, running on Sunday. Hard to fathom yesterday. Obviously didn't like the yielding turf. It was a tough field anyway, but he didn't run his number that we're accustomed to. So anyway,
can the Simonovich family possibly win 3 on Sunday? Do you think that's reasonable?
That would be a stretch. There's a horse in there. I think it will scratch. It looks like it could run in the stake. We have a horse in there with a waiver claimer, Dino's Dixie, that I like a lot. And then I saw this other horse in there. I'm like, what the hell is this horse doing in there? It looks like it could run on the undercard in the stake race on the turf. So I would imagine there's a hole in that horse, or they're going to scratch it. But we'll see. I'll talk to Jim and Emily about that. And then Grayton is dropping down out of A other than to a 13.5. She should be formidable. And we have Looking for Revenge, the horse that won by 11. I showed the replay of that got the low number. He's running for 10,000, and he's doing good. So we'll see what he can do in there.
Are they all going to be in your dad's silks, or will some of them be in?
No, those are all my dad. My dad owns all those.
Very cool.
So we'll have the white silks with the Serbian Orthodox cross on there.
I still want Marco is going to get me a hat. I never got that hat.
Marco has hats and stuff like that. I'm trying to get hats and visors and shirts from him. I'm trying to get them from you.
I know we're gonna
Lone
do
Speed.
we're gonna do Lone Speed merch. It's gonna happen.
It's going to happen probably NHC 2025.
No, it's before then. It's gonna what I gotta do is find a place that I can design it, and then people can go on and order it, and then they make it and ship it for me.
I thought we already went through those hoops already, and you were already past that level, but we're still looking at the design it. Okay,
I know.
That's okay. It takes time. I get it. You want it to look right and all that good stuff. You have a great logo. It's displayed
really,
here.
Super cool logo.
So anyway, good stuff there. The weekend's going to be fun, action packed. We'll pick some winners today. Anthony, my brother's watching. Matthew said he didn't trace it. He said he watched a video on how to draw a horse and then drew one.
Okay, that's believable.
Okay, beautiful. There we go.
He did an incredible job. It was so good we thought it was traced. I mean,
yeah, he's done a lot of good stuff like that. So, and now is this that artwork over your shoulder? Is that Lila that did that?
Yes, Lila's my other. She's the one with.
And I got a chance to meet your daughters a year or so ago. I remember the little argument. It was funny. The little argument they got into in the car when we dropped them. I went to drop them off to school with you, I believe.
Yeah. What was the argument about? Do you remember?
I forgot. It was funny though. You know, it brings me back in time when I used to argue with my siblings.
Yeah, they've gotten much better about arguing lately. They're growing up. They're both going to be in middle school next year. Florida middle school starts in 6th grade. My oldest will be in 7th. My youngest in 6th.
And they have interest in horse racing?
Not really. My youngest lost interest when in the 2019 Kentucky Derby, she picked Maximum Security, and I had to explain.
They DQ'd.
She didn't win. That's correct.
Yeah.
Then they were fans of Arrest, and I told them that one of those races they've been bugging me to get a puppy, which I don't want because I'm not a pet person.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? If Arrest wins this race, we can get a puppy. And Arrest got run down late, and so then they got. So they like they'll watch it, but they're not huge fans of horse racing. No.
All right, so we got we got some good encouragement here from Mark. Yeah, listen, we're not phased at all for one bad random Thursday afternoon. Don't worry about that. We're gonna win today and tomorrow.
I hope if we can connect once today, it'll be a profitable day.
That's it. Yeah, honestly, in the last week, I've probably hit 4 or 5 like $5 tries.
Yeah,
something like that. 3 for sure. I got to go back and look with some exactas, and so we've been doing good.
Should we dive right into Saratoga?
Let's dive into it. Yeah.
All right. So, interesting card today. We I probably shouldn't be so anti these New York bred races. For whatever reason, I am going to play one of them today. We've also got a grade 2 early on the card, the 6.5 furlong Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
Only 5 horses in there. I don't think there's any scratches. I'm not. Let me look and see if the scratches.
The Amsterdam. If I just I don't know about Formulator if they're going to have it up.
Yeah, Formulator's got scratches, so it's only a 5 horse field. I guess that's why it's so early on the card. I'm not going to spend too much time looking at it, but it's always nice to see graded stakes on weekdays. The first race that I'm going to play is the 7th race. It is not an allowance, non-winners of 1 other than juicy $110,000 purse at 1 mile and 3/8. That's on the turf.
Yep.
We have, I think the MTOs are who are scratched in here. So we have a field of 8, and there are 2 horses that I'm going to let the tote board guide me on. There's one I have a little more emphasis on than the other. It should be a bigger price, but we're going to see what the tote board reads in here and see if we can figure out how to cash a ticket. There's a Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt horse, the 2. That's 5-2 on the morning line. You've got Irad Ortiz on 7-2 on the 5 better bet. But the 2 that I'm going to look at here that I think are interesting are the 3, Harry Hood, Mark Hennig, John Velasquez, and the 4, I believe that is pronounced Au Paradis.
Paradis.
So I just posted on Twitter a few minutes before we came on that the 4 is out of a mare named Wonderful, who has 2 babies racing today. One of them at Del Mar, and then this one here at Saratoga. Ironically, both of those babies are running at 1 mile 3/8 on the turf, just on different sides of the country. Yeah, just kind of an interesting fact. You don't see that too terribly often with.
No, and how did you dig up that information? That's pretty interesting.
Because I handicapped both races that they're in, and I looked hard at both horses, and I saw the same mare, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just looked at this mare, and so the horse that I am leaning towards in here, and this is one of what I would kind of a hold your breath type wager, because he has not been running well as of late, is the 3, Harry Hood. And let's focus on the last 3 starts. Ran second beaten a Dirty Nose in a grade 2 at Gulfstream at 1.5 miles. Not really much of an excuse in the Man of War, except for that it was a grade 2 with much better horses. And then last out at 1.125 miles at Belmont at Aqueduct, or some people call it Royal Aqueduct. If you watch the replay, can we pull up the replay for the June 16th race for the 3, Harry Hood?
Absolutely.
He is the 11 horse in here.
Far outside.
Yeah, and I want you to notice, you won't need me to tell you this, but this horse is about in the 7 or 8 path going into the clubhouse turn. Okay, I'm not kidding. It's as wide as you will ever see a horse in a turf race going into the clubhouse turn. You can see kind of continuing to advance here. There are 5 horses to the inside with some space. I mean, you're in the 7 path.
That's ugly.
Turn. And then here is still kind of trying to advance a little bit. I mean, it'd be a lot worse if this one was, sitting 3rd right now, but that is obviously not a great start to the race at 1.125 miles, really at any distance, but at a distance that might not be this horse's best game. Here we're another little mini advance down the backstretch. Again, not exactly blowing by horses or anything, but still trying to stay up there and not lose contact. And then at this point here starts to just back up through the field. No run, no nothing. I mean, at this point has probably run.
Was wide throughout.
Has probably run about as many lengths, as far as the leader at this point. Maybe not the leader, but just couldn't keep up after being so wide, and is on his way to finishing at the back of the field. Obviously, not a good effort, even considering the wide trip. It was not strong. Okay, but I gotta think this one's capable of better. Did actually, as I sit here, I'm noticing did beat 2 horses home last time, and the Man of War beat 1 horse home, but it's very possible, and you might even say it's looking increasingly likely.
Hey, Justin, real quick, did you read the chart comments on the 3?
For which race?
For Harry Hood in the last race.
Yeah, I did. Remind me though.
It says 4 wide first turn.
Yeah,
it was way more than 4.
Well, it entered the turn.
So where do they chart that exactly?
Well, it started to save a little ground as it went through the turn. So It entered the turn 6 wide, but probably in about the 7 or 8 path.
Yeah, right.
And, the horse lost a ton of ground
Mm-hmm.
in the first turn and was trying to keep up while doing it. And that is usually a recipe for a bad finish. And that's exactly what happened. What I was starting to say was it's very possible this horse is just off form and going the wrong direction. Okay. So, to run as badly as it did in its last two, even if it was outclassed in the Man of War, which it was, and even if he with a wide trip, you would still like to see more. This horse was claimed for 50,000 from Chad Brown almost exactly a year ago, and you think that they could, they're not dropping it in for a tag. Okay, that's the first sign. I think they obviously still think this horse belongs in the allowance ranks. Maybe they can get back on track and try a stakes race again. I mean, this horse has almost won a grade 2 just a matter of months ago. It was 14-1 that day. Tawny Port was in there. Not exactly a field of bums, that Cortez horse has run consecutive 90s, buyers in the 90s, and was
Public
in the
Public sector's been okay. Just won.
Yeah, Tawny Port didn't do much.
Tawny Port just ran pretty well. Yeah, just lost by a head with a 98.
Right. That's right. So, again, not a field of bums, but you got to worry that the horse is going the wrong direction. So what I'm probably going to do here is I'm probably going to play a win bet on the 3 as long as we're going to get this 6-1. We shouldn't have any scratches. The 2, I think, will absolutely get bet. I think the 5 and the 6 will also get bet. And so if I'm right about those things, then I think we'll get 5, 6, 7-1 on 3 Harry Hood. And I'm also interested in the 4. So I'm gonna be using the 4. If I end up playing a pick 4, and I haven't handicapped the 8th or the 9th race yet, so I don't know if I'll play it. But if I do, I'm gonna probably throw the 4 in there because I think there's a real chance this one gets a lot better as the distances get longer. Basically split the field twice at Tampa, and those Tampa maiden special weight turf races, February, March, they're usually pretty honest races. You get some Chads, you get some Christophe Clement horses in there. Then this one came back on the dirt, and if you look at if you like time form US pace projections, I think there's a time and a place for those, just like all speed figures. This one is supposed to be, and I'm talking about the 4 here, Paradise. This one is supposed to be sort of forward early, maybe even on the lead, and has a little bit of a late kick. So at New York turf routes, you've always got to worry about somebody stealing the race. And I think, given the complete lack of speed in here, it's very possible this 4 gets the lead and is able to just run away and hide from this field. So
how would you play this? I made a comment, so the 3's your top pick. You're going to do a win bet, I guess, an exacta box, and maybe
I think the play for me is going to be a win bet on the 3.
Okay.
I'm going to try to hit. Maybe I'll play a try with a 3 over the 2. I mean, I see there's only 8 horses in this field.
Yeah.
I don't want to use 4 of them in the second spot. So I'm going to let the tote board guide me, but I'll probably play an exacta, the 3 over the 4, and then I don't want to use both the 5 and the 6. I probably go with the 6.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a rider's race. Johnny V knows what he's doing, and he's ridden. He knows the horse. Ridden it several times. What a tough 3 back in the Pan American. My God, I mean, that's just to lose that race by a nose with a horse like this that you claim for 50. That would have been just an experience of a lifetime. I don't know who the ownership group is, but I I could tell you if I claimed one for 50 and I lost by a nose, that would bother me. Yeah, I'd be happy that we ran well and all that, but God, that would suck losing by a nose. But yeah, I like it. So
let me point out one more quick thing.
sure.
The one Hamilton's Way, who broke the maiden last time at 31-1.
See that?
That if I direct your attention to the April 24th race for Hamilton's Way, that's 2 starts back. That one produced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 next out winners, and then 3 next out second place finishers.
Wow!
It is a mega key race, and Hamilton's Way was one of those next out winners at 31-1. Now I don't know how many of those next out winners, because I'm too lazy to look, had won before Hamilton Way's subsequent start, which he won at 31-1. That one's also a 3-year-old, and now we're facing older in here. So the one is one to watch for, I think, kind of down the road a little bit.
I peeked at it. There's that Rebel Red won 2 in a row and got a 91 Beyer speed figure in that last win. So that's
the plan here is a win bet on the 3. I'm going to use the 4 in multi-race wagers, and the exact I think is going to be 3 over the 2-4. That's
3
probably
over 3 over the 2-4. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. But and then if the 4 gets home and wins, then I'll probably be alive in the pick 4. But my if the tote board says it's a good idea, I might play an exact of 4-3, maybe box the 3 and the 4. I don't know. People watching can figure that out.
We have
go ahead.
This sheets player here. Do you guys use Thorograph sheets?
Rarely.
Yeah, I don't use them.
Rarely. My understanding from the semi-pro and pro handicappers that I know is that Ragozin might be a little better, a little more reliable than Thorograph. And I think people who play the claiming game trust Ragozin a little more.
Listen, when you buy a horse privately, they're going to obviously pull up the Beyer speed figure, but everybody's going to pull up the Ragozin sheet.
Yeah.
They want to see that.
Yep.
Before they make a purchase.
Right. So then that's race 7. And then race 10 is
real quick, before you go into that, Terry says the 7 is a first-time firm turf, can get the distance.
Get the distance. Well, I'll tell you what, let's look and see. The 7 is a first-time firm.
It's coming off of a very long layoff.
Yeah, it's first time North America.
13 months.
Yeah.
But it's Bill Mott. So one to maybe think about it, 8-1 underneath, huh?
Yeah, and the horse looks like it's got some stakes experience over in France. No, I listen. I wouldn't talk anybody off. Betting a 7. It looks like privately purchased by Team Valor, and you have to always take them seriously. They do a pretty good job. The layoff with this one, to me, would mean maybe give it a race. But I would not talk anybody off of any European coming against a field like this, a field of North American horses like this, which are not. These are not the elite of the American racing scene, that's for sure. But 7 makes a lot of sense if you want to take that chance. I'm ready to go into race 10 if you are, my friend.
Yeah, let's do it. Race 10.
Yeah, it's a state-bred maiden special weight at a mile on the inner turf. And this is another one where, like I said at the start of our discussion today, I was going to be treading a little bit lightly today because there's nothing really jumping off the page for me. But there are 2 in here that I think are a little bit interesting, and both of them are going to be prices in a field that I just don't think is exceptional. Obviously, it's another maiden race. So, I mean, of course, none of them have won. We're not talking about exceptional horses, but I just don't think it's that strong of a field. And I think, if you were going to play the favorites in here, like, the 11 at 9-2, Iron Ortiz is the first time starter for William Wald. If you want to take a swing with that horse, you connect. Good luck. Unfortunately, the 5, which was the 5-2 morning line favorite, is scratched.
It's out. Yep.
And the 6, David Donk, Castellano, this one's 0 for 2, has tried routing twice. Run well, beaten most of the field both times, and the 6 is a logical contender. But there are 2 in here, both of whom are going to be lower prices than I was hoping to get because of the scratches, or the scratch of the morning line favorite. Both the Make sure I've got my facts straight here. Now, these horses have not faced each other before, I don't think. I want to start with the 4, Film Academy, Mark Casse, Jose Ortiz. Last time, it was the first January, it went to the lead. It couldn't hold on, turns back in distance. Was bet to almost 3-1 in that race. Before then, raced against Open Company down at Gulfstream. Now drops back into State Break Company, sort of like the last race. And ran okay down at Gulfstream during the championship meet. Didn't disgrace himself. In one prior start the first career start at Saratoga at 5.5. Beat 7 of the 10 runners. Not a bad debut. I mean, the 4 is a very logical horse, is almost certain to be forwardly placed, if not on the lead, against kind of a mediocre group going 2 turns. You've got to respect the 4, but we're not getting 5-1, of course. There's just no chance of that. The one that I want to look at is the 2, Ferris Mueller. 15-1 on the morning line, breaking from the rail, trained by a guy I've never heard of ever in my life. I have never heard of this trainer.
Oliver Hosang.
Yeah. Has 6 starters this year, has 32 career starts as a trainer with 0 wins.
Wait, this guy's never won in his life?
The trainer has never won a race in his life. So not the kind of horse you want to make a big wager on. But I'll point out a couple things. In the May 6th, 2023 race, which was this horse's first time on the grass, finished 2nd of 12 at 74-1.
Yep.
And then came back going a mile and an eighth, split the field, and then tried a mile. Made a middle move in that race.
Yep.
And flattened out, and then got a lot of time off, and then came back May 24th, or May 26th. Can we watch that replay? This was a 6 furlong race at Royal Aqueduct. Breaks from post 8, and I want to make sure I know exactly what number the horse was wearing. This horse is in the replay. Let's watch the head on. It's the 9, and you'll also notice that the 6. Okay, so today's 2 is the 9 in the replay.
Right.
Today's 7 is also. We're going to talk about the 7 in a minute. The 7 in the replay is the 6 in this replay. So let's watch this replay at on the May 26th race.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you already start it?
Yeah. I started.
Can we back it up, because I was busy looking at the PP. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. So we're looking at the 9 and the 6 here.
The 9 and the
6, 7 and the 2.
Correct.
So we hop a little bit.
The 9 has a poor start. And I watched the head on earlier, and it was very awkward. And the 9 finds itself kind of in the back of the pack. The 6 is getting kind of a dream trick. But this is a sprint. We're routing today. Typically, I will give a little extra weight to horses that are up close in turf sprints when they start stretching out, as long as they kind of do some running late. But that 9, who's now there kind of at the back of the pack in that group of 3, after missing the start is trying to run. Now is a little shuffled a little bit. Now is the trailer. They're going to turn for home. The 6, as you can see, is getting really a perfect trip.
Yeah.
And let's focus on what they do here in the final quarter mile. The 6 is a little flat. The 9's trying to run on between horses here, advancing a little bit, not setting the world on fire. No threat to win. Still kind of between horses, and just sort of outgames the also rans in here. After getting that bad start, the 6 flat, the 9 there. Let's watch the gallop out. The 9 is going to pass a bunch of horses here on the gallop out. You're going to see the 9. There it is, the 9 right there. Again, I'm not saying this means you got to go run and bet the horse because, he finished 3rd on the gallop out. But, after getting a bad start, the horse kind of tried a little bit, And the 6 horse in that replay is today's 7, Sebastian the First. Who debuted going 5.5 in Saratoga. He kind of finished in the mid-pack, had some time off, came back at Tampa on April 17th, made a move there late before flattening out, finished 4th against Open Company, came back to New York in the May 26th race that we just watched, and then went to Monmouth for his last start, backed up to 5 furlongs, which I would have thought the next start, which is the last start for the 7 Sebastian, would have been at a route of ground, but it wasn't. Again, made a decent move late, just kind of stayed with it. Kind of runs like a horse that's going to want more distance. So on the buyer, buyers are going in the right direction. Has run consecutive mid-60s buyers if you care about such things, and those numbers would put the 7 Sebastian the First, competitively with this field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a favorite, but competitive, and we're stretching out what could happen. But this 2, you consider that the May 26th race for the 2, Ferris Mueller, was off a long layoff, almost a year layoff, and didn't run badly considering the bad start. I wonder if the 2 maybe has a chance to improve here. If Timeform US pace figures are something you look at, this one is projected for a 99, which
a good
is
kick.
The fastest in the field. So should be a ground-saving trip. The rider is over 26 at the meet, but is about a 9% rider on the year. So,
the 2 is never it worked pretty well a year ago in April with a bullet, but that was 4 sample size going 102. But a nice drill here coming in on July 19th.
Yeah, this is my advice here is don't go run into the windows with your last $2.
What I want to say too about this horse, though, awkward start last time, bumped 2 back, bumped 4 back, hit the gate in its 2nd race.
Yeah,
it's got some gate mechanic issues.
Yes, it does.
I hope that the new jock here can straighten this guy out and get him out of the gate. I mean, that's going to be half the battle right there. Can we get a clean break?
Right, you're breaking from the inside in a turf route, so maybe this horse, you got to work with this horse break into the inside because it runs for
I mean, we're going to be coming from out of it, but I just don't want to be like, I want to break clean and just relax and cover up and just chill, and then run a race like we did on May 6th last year.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of speed in here, which is why I think the both the 4 and the 7 could be very interesting plays because I think they'll be forward. I'm hopeful that we don't get a trip of death with the 7. So I think let's see what the tote board says. The 2 will be on my tickets for sure. I'll probably
how will we play this?
Yeah.
How are we going to play it?
I would say small win bet on the 2, and then maybe maybe play a 2-4-7 exacta box, because I think we're going to have some some decent value on the 7, probably not so much the 4, and then of course the 2. And if it runs 4-7, I would like to feel like I was right about the race. So I think I don't know how to play it. I don't like exacta boxes. And I probably, when push comes to shove, won't do that. Maybe I'll key the 2 above and below the 4 and the 7, and then I'll use the 2, 4, and 7 in multi-race wagers.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how I put it there, with the 4 and the 7.
Yeah.
Ferris Mueller, obviously, childhood film that I'm sure you're aware of, and I watched growing up. Ferris
That's right.
Bueller. They came up with Mueller. I don't know how they came up with that, but
I can't. Well, Army Mule is the sire.
oh, there you go. That's how they came up with it.
I don't know if I've ever cashed a ticket in a race where a trainer got his first career win.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a big ask. But if this horse runs back to that race a year ago and can avoid trouble, and that race off the layoff wasn't bad considering the start.
Yeah. 15-1. I mean, we're going to get every bit of that, because obviously if this horse was in a different barn, you can cut the odds in half, at least on the morning line. But we're probably going to get an overlay, I would imagine. Maybe not since we talked about it, but even for the short field, we should get close to that morning line.
Yeah, let's just try to get the 2 into the exact of the try, maybe cash a ticket. And then
with the 5 out, though, maybe I don't know. Yeah, the favorite is scratched. I forgot about that.
That's it for me for Saratoga, and I'm ready to go over to Del Mar, where we don't have scratches yet, but
let's go to Del Mar.
I've got a couple opinions here that make up the 2 of the 3 legs of the late pick 3, and I haven't looked at the 7 furlong stakes race that's in the middle. Man, I just glanced at that race, the second to last race, and I noticed that Prancing Through Paris, a horse that I've made good money on, won at Los Al when I wasn't paying attention last start as a non-favorite, 5-2.
Oh, you missed out on that one.
Maybe we can handicap that race in real time. But let's start with race 6. In race 6, we talked about, if I could direct your attention to the 10 horse, that mare, Wonderful, is the same mare we talked about earlier in a Saratoga.
Oh yeah, 7 Wonders. Yep.
Yeah, 7 Wonders, the 10 here, and I give this horse a very big chance, and I think it'll be a miracle if we get 12-1. Again, never great to play a horse from an outside post, especially around 3 turns, but this one does have the ability to do a little bit of running early, and maybe Antonio Fresu, who has shockingly only had 1 winner at the meet so far. Of course, he's only ridden 22 horses. I think this horse can maybe save some ground early. We're going to mile 3/8 here, and if we look back through the past performances, some of this horse's better races have been at the mile 1/4, mile 3/8 distance. At the shorter distances, he's struggled a little bit. I think in terms of class, this one fits on class. I mean, they all kind of do. There's no one in here that the 6 has some graded stakes experience, but the 2 has run in some group stakes in Europe and as well as North America. But I think they all kind of belong at this level. The angle on the 10 7 Wonders is, I think, will be forwardly placed where you want to be at Del Mar. I don't think it's not easy to close really anywhere in Southern California on the turf, going multiple turns. But especially at these longer distances, I do think you want to be forwardly placed. This one has a win at Del Mar. If you look back to the running lines, has experienced some trips of death in his past and didn't stop running. I mean, kind of ran on and got some placings. So I think this one's form is a little dirtied up by the fact that the last 4 races were at a mile, which I really don't think is what this horse wants to do. I think this horse does get better as the distances go longer, is more competitive. And I think we're going to get a good price on a horse that has a really good chance to be there at the finish. And then again, Timeform US pace projections, in addition to having a little bit of ability to be close early, this one is projected for a 102 late figure, which isn't tops in the field. But I think considering this one should be closer early, I think that this one has enough late kick to be competitive at this class level.
I agree. I like it. It's definitely going to be it's going to flash a little bit more speed than it did in the last couple of races. Just on the stretch out, it has placed, in a 1.25 miles, 1.25 3/8. It did get the trip of death in that twice in a row. And it hung on, like you said. So yeah, this is a good sneaky 12-to-1 shot in a race where, it's going to be a rider's race. They all are. But Dylan, Double D, he kind of did mention, it is a little bit easier to come from out of it as opposed to Santa Anita. We won't have the lead. Hopefully we won't get the trip of death again. Who's going to set the pace in here?
Well, that's the thing. That's again, I don't know exactly what I expect to happen early. I think some of the horses that, project to be up close, I mean, the 3, I think the 3 is probably the most likely early leader. And I think it's possible that we do get the trip of death with the 10. I'm hoping Fresu will either send and get the lead, or will sit behind the 3. Although I want to add this, that I'm wondering if the trip of death, which so many of our friends don't think is that bad to begin with, I think it is. Some of my friends and good handicappers agree with me completely. But
I agree with it.
Around 3 turns, because you are going so much. I think as the distances get longer, the class really comes out in turf racing.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's harder to steal some of these 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles, 3/8 races, because it just being better is what matters. And to me, you never want to be wide on the turf, but if they're going slow enough, maybe you can kind of get away with it going a longer distance. I don't know. That's just, I don't have the.
No, it's a good point. Speaking of trip of death, the 3 it looks like it got the trip of death, and it's at least 2 back. It did.
Yeah, and that horse was bet both times, and now it's getting longer. I think the 3 is going to run a really good race. I'm going to play 10 over the 1, 2, and 3, and then I'll probably play a 1, 2, and 3 over the 10.
Okay.
The 1, 2, and 3 are the next best, and I think the 3 is the most likely one, honestly. But that horse is also going to be heavily bet. I expect the 3 to be favored, and totally justifiably so. The 3 is a serious racehorse.
Yep, I agree. I think those are the ones we want to key. Let's see, the 2's a price, and I like that. And then the 1 is now offered in for a tag, but that could be good too, because it's a 7-year-old. It's not like, that's normal to run it for a tag at this point of its career, and it should be competitive here. Okay.
So that's it. It's the 10 over the 1, 2, 3, and then probably the 1, 2, 3 over the 10. And then in race 8, this is kind of a light opinion. Again, kind of a theme for the day. I'm not rushing to the windows to bet this horse. It's another bad post. This is a state-bred maiden special weight, a mile on the turf, and the number 11, Comanche Gal, really outran her odds on the debut, running for state-bred maiden 50 at Los Al, by Animal Kingdom out of an unraced mare.
Yeah, more than ready. So it's got turf, top
Yeah,
and
so,
bottom, pretty much.
right. I think turf is maybe what this one's thing is going to be. Um, will she be able to transfer that speed she showed sprinting on the dirt at Los Al to to this turf route? That is obviously a big question. The 8 is also stretching out, and I think is very possible to want the early lead. But I think going from this outside post, the strategy might be let's just get the lead. And then I just don't feel like we're dealing with the level of horses where you have to be worried about, oh, wow, this horse is going to for sure run her down late. I mean, the 4 is going to be the favorite. Also coming out of Maiden 50, but coming out of Maiden 50 against Open Company on the turf at Santa Anita. The 4 is obviously a major contender in here. So is the 1. The 1's going to get a ground saving trip under Hector Barrios. The 1, the 3 would in no way surprise me at all. They could run 1-2, and it's not going to surprise me. I just think there's a real chance here to get a good price on a horse that just might move up on the surface switch. In terms of buyers, ran a 65 buyer in that first race, which is ultra competitive just on buyers with the rest of the field. So that's my play, the 11.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. It's there's not a page to look at, but in the broodmare, I think it was unraced. But obviously, if you look at the breeding of the horse, and if you guys still look at Tomlinson numbers, it does have a 345 turf, so it should be able to take to the sod. And the trainer. What was that?
How does that stack up? I mean, the Tomlinson numbers, I don't
Well, I mean, a 345 is a pretty strong number for a turf Tomlinson. I don't. They added the distance Tomlinson turf numbers like some time ago. I don't know. Maybe it's been 5, 8 years, whatever. But they never had this before. When I started reading the form, it was just
that 345.
But the 345 turf number is pretty good.
That's the highest number in the field.
Okay.
Unless
the 12
draws in. If the 12 draws in,
but it's run on turf already, though. We get to see something. This one, we have the wonderment of, hey, is this horse going to move up even more on turf? And it should. Animal Kingdom, everybody forgets. Really good. Like, it has turf breeding, and it won all of its races on synthetic before the Derby, and then More Than Ready is spit out all kinds of turf
I love
runners.
Animal Kingdom. That what you see there in the far corner, right next to the 5 and the 10, that's Animal Kingdom Silks from the Kentucky Derby in
I know
2011.
And I bet that one too. In the workout reports, I was paying attention to. I think it was Mike Welsh. And the horse was training so good.
Oh my God! I watched Animal Kingdom's. I gotta fix my camera angle here. I was watching Animal Kingdom's workout that day, and I wasn't there. I watched it on TVG, I guess, and it was incredible. When I saw the way he accelerated finishing that turf work, I was like, "That's the Derby winner. No one's beating that horse."
Yeah, I remember just every day. This horse is doing okay. This one's doing good, but man, Animal Kingdom again came out and just moved smoothly and blah blah blah, and the work. Everything was. His workout reports were, and he went off at like 20-1.
It was like, because 20.6 to 1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and nobody, they just thought that the Turfway race was cheap, and I can't run on dirt, even though if people paid attention to how it was moving on the dirt in the mornings over there, especially locally. Like, I like when horses ship in, like Baffert, he usually just trains at Santa Anita and ships them in, and obviously does well. But I like horses that go to Churchill early Derby week, or Derby the weeks leading up to it, and gallop on it and at least get one drill, so I can see how they're handling the track, Yeah, he was doing so good.
My Derby success has not been great in the last few years. Historically, I've had some crushed some tickets in the Derby, but you should probably draw a line through my Triple Crown handicapping. I mean, more and more turf is just becoming where I'm making my best scores. So
Right. Yeah, I one of my worst picks of all time was when I Want Revenge won. I picked a horse named Daddy Knows Best. And that's where the workout reports can get you too, because that one was doing well. It was
I
really
don't
just,
think that wasn't the same year because I had Daddy Knows Best. That was
I thought it was the
2012.
same year, but maybe not. We'll have to
Yeah,
go back and confirm
I had
that.
Daddy
But
Knows Best. It was 2012.
oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought that was a terrible pick by me.
Ran terrible. I did
Yeah.
have Mandaloon recently. You know, to handicap that horse and have it run second was excruciating. Looking at Lee was a interesting pick I had at 33-1. I had the third place finisher that year. I did not pick the winner, Always Dreaming. I mean, I'm just like,
Which year are you talking about?
Fletcher
Lucky
won with
Lee?
Always Dreaming.
Okay, yeah.
And I had Looking at Lee on top at 33-1 because I knew that the one hole was not going to bother a stretch runner. And Corey Lannery, who you love,
Yeah.
knows Churchill well. And I just knew that he would be able to save ground and be okay with a stretch runner like that out of the one hole, as opposed to some of these other horses that like to, they have to use their horse from that post. So the one hole I didn't think would bother that horse, and it didn't. But not to have Always Dreaming that year in my tries anywhere was just stupid.
My buddy made a future wager, $200 on Always Dreaming at 100-1 in Vegas after he broke his maiden at Tampa, and my buddy made 20,000. Might have been more. Might have been closer to 30,000. I forget. He made over 20,000.
What was like the idea behind that? Just a hunch? Did he hear something? Did he like something?
The story is that he was sitting home one day. His buddy called him and said, his buddy who had been watching TVG said, "You got to turn on TVG. Watch what this horse just did at Tampa." And it was Fletcher. Fletcher had shipped the horse in from Gulfstream to win, and he did look pretty impressive. And to me, he didn't look like a guaranteed Derby winner, but my buddy saw something he liked and hammered it for him.
And how much? So he bet.
He got 200. I think it was 200 at 100-1, which would be 20,000.
Okay.
But I think he cashed for more than, so it may have been something like 200 at 120-1 or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was 125. But
I've never had any luck with future wagers, so I quit doing them. I know that some of the guys in our text group like to bet those, but I quit doing it.
Yeah, I've had some good ideas on future wagers that didn't work out. I wanted to play Ghost Zapper in 2004 after he made his debut on, I think, the 4th of July of that year in a sprint. And I'm like, this horse is going to win the Classic. And I went online, and this is before you could get like real-time odds everywhere. And I saw that he was being offered in Vegas at 25-1 to win the Classic. So I called a buddy in Vegas. He drove to the casino for me and said, "Bro, it's 10-1. Do you want it?" And I said, "Nah, fuck it. I'm not going to mess around with that." Then in 2006,
10-1. Wow.
Was it 17? 2017, I was out in Vegas. I was playing in the Win contest. That's where I met the Caspers and Brent Schraff was at that contest. And I wanted to bet Forever Unbridled in the distaff. And I'd heard she was 12-1. And I get out there, and she's 8-1. And I'm like, man, fuck that. I'm not betting this horse at 8-1. Sure enough, she wins at 7-2 in the distaff. So some of my biggest scores are bets I didn't actually make.
Yeah, you had the opportunity. They're right there for you. But there's probably 5 or 10 other ones like that that wouldn't materialize. But then again, if you bet them all, you're way ahead.
Yeah, but it's probably dumb you probably shouldn't bet a future wager at anything under like 50-1.
Yeah. You want to command odds that far out. Injuries, anything can happen.
The Derby future wager. Do you know how many times you get better odds on Derby Day than you would have gotten in a future wager? It happens all the time. These people betting like huge favorites, and I'm like, just at 5-1, I'm like, you're gonna get a better price on Derby Day. Just wait. Plus, you don't have to worry about the horse getting hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean yeah, like I said, maybe I'll dabble in it a little bit, but sometimes the advanced wagering sites will have them on there, and I don't know. They
Dude, I
close it
thought,
out. Now, I don't like that they have them. They should close them earlier before race day. I don't like that they close them the day of race day. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know.
man, I forgot to retweet. I forgot to retweet this. Is
We
that why
got
we only got 170
we got
people on?
we got 128 people. But yeah, we'll get more people if you retweet it.
Yeah, I just forgot to do it.
That's all right.
I don't have anything else more to talk about. We could talk politics, or we could just wait for. We could
We got to
also
set.
we could do an emergency lone speed show tonight. When because we'll have Colonial and Del Mar to talk about, but you know, we can always just do real time handicapping later if you wanted.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear. Let me know. I got to look at some property. We're gonna go look at a piece of property over here, and then I got a client. I got to show a property to, and then I'll be available later.
And then hopefully Brent Schraff is going to be playing in the contest. He may have some family issues that he's got to not
Okay.
serious, but he may be distracted with family activity today.
Yeah.
But we need to get Brent back up the leaderboard in one of these.
I'd like to get Brent on the show. I used to send him all the links for the show. I know he's busy, but once in a while I like to get him on.
All right, man. Well, let's try to fix what happened yesterday. We got some light opinions today. I'm not going too heavy, but there are some prices that might run big. So that's the hope for the day.
We'll be good. I like some of these plays. You got to keep firing.
Right. All right, brother.
All right, sounds good, Justin. Later.
See you guys.